Sue Carroll became a huge star at Fox at the very end of the silent era. But after a successful transition to the Talkies, she retired from the screen. Why? Join me as I investigate. She was born as Evelyn Jean Lederer in 1906 in Chicago to Samuel and Caroline Lederer, immigrants from Austria and Germany. There's not a lot of information out there about her childhood, but we do know that around the age of 20, Evelyn was on vacation in Los Angeles with her family and was spotted by a director at a social event who offered her a screen test on the spot, which resulted in a small role in the 1927 film Slaves of Beauty, which starred Olive Tell, Holmes Herbert, and Margaret Livingston. Since the film was made at Fox and Sue went on to be under contract there later, I can only assume that the director that discovered her was also from Fox. I also assume that someone at Fox decided to change her name from Evelyn Lederer to Sue Carroll. Sue's career took off almost overnight. She appears to have made an impression in her supporting role in Slaves of Beauty because her second film was a leading role in the Douglas MacLean Paramount comedy Soft Cushions, also in 1927. The film got her great notices. One review in Exhibitor's Herald praised her beauty and compared her to Louise Brooks. Another review stated that she had, quote-unquote, it, the star quality famously applied to Clara Bow by Eleanor Glenn. Several articles claimed that Douglas MacLean was so impressed with his co-star that he put her under contract. This deal later fell through, resulting in MacLean bringing court action against Sue when she went to work at other studios. However, the court ruled in her favor and she was allowed to keep working. She was also named a Wampus Baby Star in February of 1928 alongside other rising stars Lupe Velez, Alice Day, and Lena Basquette. After a supporting role in The Coens and the Kellys in Paris in 1928, Sue starred with William Boyd in Skyscraper at Pathé, which got her great reviews and appeared to be a hit. Motion Picture News said that she was beautiful and talented and takes her place as one of the season's new outstanding screen finds. Sue next starred in her first top-billed film, also at Pathé, Walking Back, a drama that saw her portray flapper Patsy Schuyler. The film got her rave reviews. She was then loaned to MGM to co-star in the Lou Cody and Aileen Pringle picture Beau Broadway, which, according to another review in Motion Picture News, she all but stole the film from the stars. They wrote, Sue Carroll is pretty, vivacious, and talented to boot. Keep your eyes on this girl. Sue next starred in two more hit films at Fox, When That Girl and The Air Circus, before starring with Rod LaRock in the surviving Captain Swagger at Pathé. In this film, she played Sue, a dancer that tries to help the title character, played by LaRock, go straight from his life of crime. The film got her good reviews again. Sue entered 1929 as a full-fledged star at Fox. First, she starred in the part-talkie comedy It Can Be Done with Lynn Tryon, before making her full-length talkie debut in Girls Gone Wild, in which she received top billing. The film got her good notices and seemed to mark her successful transition to talkie stardom. To capitalize on her stardom, Fox starred her in three more talkies in 1929, The Exalted Flapper, Chasing Through Europe, and Why Leave Home. All of these films appear to have been modest hits and got good notices for Sue again. Sue went into the 1930s still a major star at Fox. She starred with George O'Brien in The Lone Star Ranger, took top billing in the comedy The Big Party, and starred in the musical comedy The Golden Calf. However, halfway through 1930, Sue left Fox. One article in Motion Picture News stated that her contract expired and the studio chose not to renew it, even though, according to other articles, her name was still bringing in audiences and she was getting good notices. The only bit of negative press that I could find stated that most of her films were beneath her talent and gave her little to do on the screen. Not discouraged, Sue appears to have begun freelancing. She first starred with Grant Withers in the Warner Brothers comedy Dancing Sweeties later in 1930. Variety called her performance convincing. She then went on to go to RKO to star with Arthur Lake in She's My Weakness. Unfortunately, this film was not well received by critics, with the New York Times saying that Sue was lovely but miscast in her part. In 1931, Sue moved to Universal to star opposite Regis Toomey in the crime drama Graft. Motion Picture Herald gave both stars and the film a good review overall. Sue finished out in 1931 with In the Line of Duty, in which she starred opposite Noah Beery at the Poverty Row Monogram Pictures. Sue then took 2 years off from the movies. She had recently married actor and frequent Fox co-star Nick Stewart and gave birth to their daughter Carol Lee in 1932. In 1933, Sue returned to the screen and starred opposite her husband and Cecilia Parker in Secret Sinners, giving some lovely moments of both comedy and drama as the Seen It All chorus girl. The film got her good notices, particularly in Motion Picture Daily. Later that year, Sue starred in Straightaway at Columbia opposite Tim McCoy. After this film, Sue retired from the screen at the age of 27, returning only once in 1937 to play a small part in the George Bancroft drama A Doctor's Diary. However, she did not leave the movie industry altogether. In the late 1930s, Sue founded the Sue Carroll Agency, in which she became a respected talent agent for many actors in Hollywood. By the late 1930s, Sue and Stewart had divorced. Around 1939, Sue began representing a young and up-and-coming star who impressed her very much. Although initially she got him many successful supporting film appearances, by 1942, she was able to make him a star by getting him an audition for the classic film noir, This Gun for Hire, which first teamed him with his frequent co-star Veronica Lake. His name was Alan Ladd, and he became the love of Sue's life and soon one of the most popular actors in Hollywood. Sue became stepmother to Alan's child from a previous marriage, Alan Ladd Jr., and her daughter with Nick Stewart took the name Carol Lee Ladd. They also gave birth to 2 children, David Ladd and Alana Ladd. Years later, David would go on to become an actor and producer and also married actress Cheryl Stoppelmoor, who would become superstar Cheryl Ladd. David and Cheryl went on to have a daughter who is actress Jordan Ladd. Sue ran her agency for many years. After her retirement, she seemed to enjoy spending time with her husband, children, and later grandchildren. In 1955, Sue possibly guest starred on an episode of I Love Lucy. I say possibly because she is mentioned by name in the episode in which Lucy models a gown in the Celebrity Wives fashion show in Los Angeles, but never appears on the runway with the other wives. However, there is a lady in the audience of the fashion show that looks a little bit like Sue, and it could be her making a cameo. Alan Ladd passed away in 1964. Sue passed away in 1982 at the age of 75. Sue and Alan are interred together in a beautiful resting place at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale. So we are left with the question, why did Sue Carroll's stardom lose momentum in the talkies? I think the blame lies with Fox's mismanagement of her career. She became a star almost overnight at the end of the silent era, and after starring in some hit talkies, they began giving her lesser material, resulting in her critical acclaim decreasing through no fault of her own. It's a shame, as she was a true natural talent and a delight to watch on the screen. Although she seemed perfectly happy to walk away and start her second career as one of Hollywood's most respected agents. Even though her films of the 30s may not have been as well written as some of her previous films, she is still amazing in each and every one of them. I suggest checking out Dancing Sweeties, Graft, and Secret Sinners on YouTube. Even though she had such a brief career, Sue Carroll has left behind a body of work that should make her name more well known among classic movie fans. After all, one article labeled her as having quote-unquote it. She sure did. Here's to you, Sue. Please like this video and subscribe or follow this account if you want to learn more about the history of silent film stars whose stardom lasted only briefly in the talkies. Up next, after a brief hiatus, join me as I cover the silent to talkie career of William Collier Jr. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great weekend.